Hey Muelsyse, Ami is thinking about adding you to her dating sim. Yeah, you could totally rival Angelina in cuteness. You can be super kawaii and sugoi. Nah, it's fine. Angelina is #1 in my kokoro anyways. Muelsyse is a silly creature that lives in your faucet. She is a Tactician Vanguard, meaning that she can only be deployed on ranged tiles and has a summon that's deployable in her range. If Muelsyse is hitting enemies blocked by her original summon, she'll deal 50% more damage against them. Her first talent is the obligatory Tactician Vanguard summon, and because Muelsyse's summon is more complicated than every other operator in her branch, there's been a bunch of misconceptions about her. The summon is a blobber that 5 seconds after deployment is able to copy an operator once you activate its skill. Since she's able to copy operators, people think she's the most broken Vanguard because you can simply 3D print another Surtur or something. But like a content creator signing to a garbage agency, they didn't read the fine print. This talent is above average. It's not broken, it's not garbage, it's pretty good. You see, there's multiple catches in that fine print. The first is that Muelsyse's blob only gets 90% of the original operator's stats. This doesn't sound too bad, and it's not, but all that it highlights is that the summon is not a one-to-one duplicate of the operator you copy. The second thing is that it doesn't copy the operator's skills, which is what players often forget makes up like 80% of the damage of an operator. At this point, if you can't copy the skills of an operator, you'd want to go to the one with the strongest auto attacks, but the final catch is that even the operator's original talents and trait don't carry over. This can be a pro, but it's a con in almost every case because talents give operators unique utility and traits help out a lot of branches. Passenger with his chain bounce would be such a menace to put on Muelsyse's summon, but nope, you don't get the chain at all, or even the slow. Copying an operator like Ak, the self decrease in HP over time doesn't carry over, so in this case, it's actually a win to not copy the trait. So what can the Scrimblow replicate? It gets the operator's basic stats like HP and attack, as well as the attack interval, range, and damage type. The Blobberino does have a very nice silver lining though. Depending on if the operator copied is melee or ranged, it can have different properties. If ranged, every 10 attacks the summon does will have another form pop up in the adjacent tile up to 4 copies, but they disappear over time. Since this increases Muelsyse's damage by a lot, you want the summon to copy operators with fast attack intervals like anti-air snipers, Dorothy, or Ak. If the summon is melee, it's able to steal 10 attack and defense from an enemy for every hit it does, up to 250 for each stat. If the enemy dies, the blob will still keep the stolen stats, but these stats are reset after copying to another operator. The melee operators you want to copy are your stat sticks. Eunectus, Mudrock, or Penance are all good choices. If the summon dies, it'll take 25 seconds for it to get up again, and if you want to have it copy another operator after your first, you're gonna have to wait another 100 seconds. Her second talent is super useful. Decreased deployment for all Rhinelabs ops. Yippee, I've always wanted this. Muelsyse's third skill increases her own attack as well as the summons. It immediately grants 15 DP. If the summon is melee, it'll pull all the enemies in the 8 surrounding tiles towards it with a small force, continuously stunning all blocked enemies, similar to Eunectus S2. If the blob is ranged, the copies in the 4 adjacent tiles will all refresh and their attacks will inflict bind for 1.5 seconds. The skill lasts for 15 seconds, so it's decently cyclable, and with the plus 50% attack increase, the Muelsyse crew are able to deal a good amount of damage. A melee blob can stunlock hard hitting enemies, increasing its own survivability because it has no form of self-sustain. Cycling the skill at the right time for the ranged summon can freeze multiple enemies in their path for the entire skill duration. The skill itself isn't anything too flashy, but because Muelsyse has like a billion mechanics integrated into her, she has a lot of tech and nuance in general that becomes useful in many clears. Hey Holhaek, Ami is thinking about adding you to her dating sim. Yeah, you're pretty different from Siege since she's more cool and collected. Bludgeoning someone with a rock is a great introductory scene. I'm sure there's an audience for that. She sucks. Her first talent increases her damage against aerial enemies and silences them for 3 seconds. Because statuses apply before damage with the exception of Suzerain, Hull will always get the damage off this talent as long as her attacks levitate the enemy. Her second talent reduces enemy weight by 1 if they're in her range and have more than 80% of their HP. Reducing the weight on an enemy with weight 4 increases levitate time. These two talents have a bit of synergy with each other and Holhayek's kit. So she levitates, and the levitate does more damage, and she reduces the weight, so she levitates, so the more damage when the levitate, whole levitate more damage, enemy reduce weight when whole enemy levitate damage. Synergy. Holhayek's second skill is like Caster Mia's second skill, but marginally better. It deals 9 hits to random enemies in her range, with each hit having a 15% chance to levitate the target for 1 whole second. Peak DPS, this skill actually does really well, but it heavily relies on the RNG of levitating the enemy to get the extra damage off, making it absolute ass. What's worse is that she targets random enemies in her range, so you have to keep other enemies out of her range for Hull to focus all her shots on a single guy, which you'd want to do if you're trying to maximize her damage. The skill is also short for its 30 SP cost, so Hull finishes faster than me finishing this job. Holhayek's third skill gives her the AoE sniper range and makes her attacks tornadoes that spawn in her column, slowly traveling to the edge of her range. The longer the tornadoes travel, the more damage they deal, up to 420%. It increases her attack interval to 3 seconds, and the levitate lasts for 2.2 seconds for weight 3 and below enemies, so she won't be infinite air comboing on the enemies. This skill has garbage DPS, even including the attack scale from the first talent. The only silver lining is that it can be used as setup for other operators that benefit from levitate. And no, not Irene, since she doesn't need any extra help with levitate because her skills already do that for her. We're talking about the one, the only, Connie Pallet's first talent. It gives aerial enemies in his range 20% arts fragility, which counts levitated enemies, so there's epic synergy there, but it's dog water synergy. The main thing to take away from this segment is that Hull sucks, and until operators who synergize greatly with levitate are released, she's still gonna keep on sucking. Hey Executor, Ami is thinking about adding you to her dating sim. We're trying to be more diverse, so the player has a lot of options to go for. Honestly, being yourself is already enough. We're playing up Holhayek by having her smash someone's skull in with a rock, so you don't need to do anything too crazy. Executor, the is the awaited 6-star Reaper Guard. The branch makes it so that he can't be healed through normal means, but Executor becomes a better AoE guard, hitting everything in his range. He's able to heal 50 HP for every enemy he hits in his range up to his block count, which is a whole 2 of them. So he'll only heal 100 HP per swing if there's a more billion enemies in his range. Executor's first talent gives his attacks a 20% chance of dealing an additional hit, and when his skill is up, every ammo spent will increase his chance by 5%. Once the skill is over, the chance goes back to 20%. All of Executor's skills are ammo based, so you don't have to worry about this talent being useless. RNG is always fun, and this talent is like gacha, but without the pity being reset when you proc the 1 out of Gorillion 7-star SSSR chance. An additional hit not only doubles Executor's damage, but it also heals him, so this talent is pretty awesome. A second talent gives his skill more ammo for every Laterano operator deployed, including himself. Whenever you see his skill give him a certain amount of ammo, just mentally add 1 in your head because the skill description doesn't include this talent. It's not an incredibly useful talent since you'll have to force operators in your squad that don't necessarily have anything special with Executor. Executor alters third skill slightly increases his attack interval, gives him an extra row ahead of him, and increases his attack. It also increases his HP recovery trait to 3 times its effect, and his attack for every ammo he uses, stacking up to 30 times, but bro only gets 16 ammo plus some extra from his talent, so you can't even get the attack stack that high since they only last until the skill ends. If you manually end the skill, or if Executor is at his last shot, he'll deal the big physical damage to all the enemies hit during the uptime, which you can see have a mark on them that lasts during the duration. There's a couple things to say about the skill, but the main gist of everything is he ramps up damage during the skill duration, and you can detonate a bomb on all the enemies Executor hits at the end. Especially with the first talent letting him deal extra hits on his attacks, Executor can easily plow through practically every enemy that doesn't have super high defense. His survivability is greatly increased too, healing 150 HP per enemy without mod. He does damage, he heals a lot, Executor good. Anyways, that's about it. See ya.